the yoriichi for 1,000 years, and came back as the most broken character Demon Slayer has ever seen. Tanjiro returns from selling charcoal in town to find his entire family slaughtered. The only survivor is his sister Nezuko, but she's barely breathing and ice cold. Without wasting a moment, he throws her onto his back and rushes down the mountain through the snow. But something's wrong. Nezuko's scent is changing, becoming similar to that cold, death-like smell from the house. Suddenly, she transforms into a demon and attacks him with savage fury, her teeth growing into fangs, her nails into claws. Tanjiro tries everything, begging, pleading, reasoning with the sister he loves, but the demon blood coursing through her veins won't let her recognize him. Right when things seem hopeless, Giyu Tomioka, the water Hashira, appears in a flash of blue, and his mission is simple: eliminate all demons, no exceptions. To him, Nezuko is just another man-eating monster. Tanjiro's desire becomes crystal clear in that moment. He wants to save Nezuko and find a way to turn her back into a human. But as Giyu raises his blade in water-breathing first form, water surface splash to behead Nezuko, Tanjiro realizes the crushing truth. He's completely powerless. A charcoal seller versus a Hashira-level swordsman who can slice boulders in half? It's not even a contest. Tanjiro charges anyway, throwing a hatchet and diving headfirst at the demon slayer, driven by pure desperation. But Giyu easily sidesteps, striking the back of Tanjiro's neck, and knocks him unconscious with a single precise blow. As Tanjiro lies unconscious in the snow, the real conflict becomes clear through Giyu's knowledge. This isn't just about saving one demon's sister. There's something called Muzan Kibutsuji, the Demon King, the first demon, an immortal monster who's been terrorizing humanity for over 1,000 years. Every demon, including Nezuko, carries Muzan's blood and is connected to him through cursed cells. The legendary Yoriichi Sugikuni, the sun-breathing master and the most powerful swordsman who ever lived, had Muzan completely helpless and still couldn't finish the job. How can someone with no training, no breathing techniques, no Nichiren blade possibly defeat an immortal being that's had centuries to perfect his blood demon arts? The answer seems impossible, but sometimes impossible situations require impossible solutions. As Tanjiro's emotions reach their breaking point, the grief, the rage, the desperate love for his sister, something incredible happens. His father's Hanafuda earrings, the same ones worn by the legendary Yoriichi centuries ago, begin to pulse with ancient energy. These aren't just ordinary earrings, they are infused with a fragment of Yoriichi's soul and contain a secret technique that's been dormant for generations. A final failsafe left behind by the sun-breathing master himself. Tanjiro's overwhelming emotions and his bloodline connection to the original sun-breathing user just activated this hidden power. The world dissolves into blinding golden light. Like the break of dawn, everything, Giyu, Nezuko, and the snow-covered forest vanishes. Tanjiro gets pulled into something that defies the laws of reality, the eternal training realm, a pocket dimension where time flows differently. Here's where it gets insane. Tanjiro can train for an entire millennium in this realm, and when he returns to the real world, not even a single heartbeat will have passed. Nezuko will still be lying in the snow, and Giyu's blade will still be mid-swing. It's the ultimate temporal cheat code, but it comes with a price that would shatter most people's minds. The moment Tanjiro materializes in the training realm, he gets obliterated. The gravity is 90 times higher than that of Earth's. The very air here is condensed spiritual energy that crushes down with the force of a mountain. It's like being at the bottom of the deepest ocean while simultaneously being struck by lightning. The realm itself is a hellscape designed to break warrior. The ground is made of obsidian that cuts your feet. The air burns your lungs, and the oppressive spiritual pressure makes every breath feel like swallowing molten metal. This is where Yoriichi's soul has been trapped for centuries, waiting for a worthy successor. For the first month, Tanjiro can't even lift his head. The pressure is so intense that his bones are constantly on the verge of snapping. His muscles tear from just trying to breathe. There's no food, no water, only the spiritual energy that both sustains and tortures him. He screams until his vocal cords rupture. He claws at the obsidian ground until his fingers are nothing but bone. He begs the empty sky to send him back to save Nezuko, but only echoes answer. Just when he's about to lose his sanity completely, a figure materializes from the golden mist. A tall man with long hair marked by flame-like patterns, ancient eyes that have seen the rise and fall of generations, and those same Hanafuda earrings. Yoriichi Sugikuni, the ghost of the sun. 67 days to lift your head. Yoriichi observes with neither praise nor disappointment. Acceptable. Most would have died in 10. That's when Tanjiro snaps completely. All he sees is the person responsible for trapping him in this nightmare, while his sister faces death. Despite the crushing pressure that should make movement impossible, something primal awakens in him. His father's blood, the connection to sun breathing, and the sheer force of his love for Nezuko all combine into pure, reality-defying willpower. Tanjiro pushes himself up, his bones creaking like old wood, muscles tearing like wet paper, and charges at Yoriichi. 1 step, his feet crack the 1 step, his feet crack the obsidian. 2 steps, the spiritual pressure around him wavers. 3 steps, his body starts glowing with unconscious sun breathing. 7 steps total before he collapses, blood streaming from every pore. Yoriichi is stunned into complete silence. In 3 centuries of waiting in this realm, he's never seen anyone move against the pressure through pure emotion. This boy just broke the fundamental laws of the training dimension through love alone. Incredible, Yoriichi whispers. Perhaps there is hope after all. While Tanjiro lies unconscious, his body slowly adapting to the hellish environment, Yoriichi leaves him a message written in golden flames that burns in the air. Your sister sleeps in frozen time. Your first trial is to run as you once did on Earth. Only then will you be worthy to hold a blade. When Tanjiro awakens and reads the message, he breaks down completely. But this time from relief, Nezuko is safe. Time is stopped for her. He has a chance, no matter how slim, to become strong enough to save her. What follows is the most brutal training regimen ever conceived, inspired by the harshest cultivation methods from across dimensions. Years 1 to 50, foundation of suffering. The first half-century is pure physical conditioning that makes real-world torture look like a massage. Tanjiro must adapt to gravity that's not just stronger, but actively malicious. It shifts and changes, sometimes crushing him into the ground, sometimes trying to tear him apart in different directions. He runs across fields of razor-sharp obsidian that slice his feet to ribbons with each step. But he must keep running until the wounds heal faster than they can form. He carries massive boulders that get heavier with every step, training until the weight that once crushed him feels like carrying air. The realm itself fights against him. Phantom demons, made of pure spiritual pressure, attack him constantly, forcing him to dodge, weave, and counter while maintaining perfect breathing. These aren't real demons. They're manifestations of his own fear and doubt given form. Years 50 to 100. Breathing revolution. Yoriichi begins teaching him total concentration breathing, but not the watered-down version used by modern demon slayers. This is the original technique of breathing so intense it literally burns your lungs, so precise it can split atoms, so controlled it can stop your heart and restart it at will. Tanjiro must maintain this breathing while being pummeled by spiritual hammers that hit with the force of meteors. 1 lapse in concentration means broken bones and starting over. The pain is so intense that he often passes out mid-breath, only to wake up to Yoriichi's disappointed gaze. Again, is all Yoriichi ever says. A true sun-breathing user never stops, not even in death. Years 101 to 300, the forms of the sun. Now comes the swordsmanship training that redefines brutality. Yoriichi manifests a blade of pure sunlight and begins teaching the 13 forms of sun breathing. Each form must be practiced 10,000 times perfectly before moving to the next. 1 mistake, 1 imperfect angle, 1 moment of weakness, and Yoriichi's spiritual pressure slams into Tanjiro like a mountain, sending him flying across the realm. The first form, dance. Tanjiro must move like flowing water while maintaining the power of a hurricane. He practices this while spiritual chains try to bind his limbs, while phantom arrows rain from the sky, while the very ground beneath him shifts and cracks. The second form, clear blue sky, an overhead slash that must cut through dimensions themselves. Tanjiro practices this while hanging upside down from spiritual threats, while his arms are weighed down by anchors that grow heavier with each swing. Each form builds on the last, creating a symphony of destruction that gradually reshapes Tanjiro's very existence. By the year 200, his sword swings create sonic booms. By the year 250, his breathing can purify the very air around him. And by the year 300, he's no longer quite human. Years 301 to 500, forging the impossible. This is where the training becomes truly insane. Yoriichi reveals the truth. The 13th form doesn't exist yet. It's a theoretical technique. The perfect combination of all 12 forms in an endless cycle that could theoretically kill any demon instantly. For 2 centuries, they work on creating this impossible technique. Tanjiro must perform all 12 forms simultaneously while maintaining perfect total concentration breathing while under assault from every direction. The failures are catastrophic. When he messes up the sequence, the conflicting energies tear through his body like chainsaws. He dies 17 times during the training, only to be revived by Yoriichi's spiritual energy so the training can continue. Death is just another obstacle to overcome, Yoriichi explains calmly as he resurrects Tanjiro for the 18th time. A true warrior transcends even mortality. Years 501 to 17, Transcendence. By now, Tanjiro has surpassed every human limitation. Demon Slayer mark appears naturally, not as a burden that shortens life, but as a permanent enhancement that makes him a living weapon. His body temperature runs so hot that snow melts around him. Yet his control is so perfect that he can hold a flower without it wilting. He awakens the transparent world, but not just the ability to see through things, He can perceive the flow of life itself, predict movements before they've even conceived, and see the weak points in reality itself. The training becomes cosmic scope. Yoriichi creates pocket dimensions within the realm, each with different physics and different laws of reality. Tanjiro must master sun breathing in a world where gravity flows upward, in a dimension where time moves backward, in a realm where thoughts become physical attacks. Years 701 to 800. The Soul's Journey. Despite gaining godlike power, Tanjiro's heart remains pure. This period focuses on spiritual development that would make Buddhist monks weep with envy. He learns to separate his soul from his body, to commune with the spirits of those killed by demons, to understand the true nature of the curse that creates demons. This is when he develops his ultimate technique, sun breathing, 14th form, merciful dawn. It's not designed to kill, but to instantly purify demon blood and free corrupted souls without pain. The technique is so advanced that it reverses the fundamental nature of demonic transformation. Power without compassion is just destruction. Yoriichi notes with the first approval Tanjiro has ever heard from him. You have learned what I never could. Years 801 to 950. Mastery of all breathing. Yoriichi downloads the knowledge of every breathing style that ever existed or could exist directly into Tanjiro's mind. Water, thunder, beast, flower, serpent, sound, mist, love, stone, wind, but not just the basic forms. He learns the ultimate versions that existed only in theory. He masters Breath of the Moon from Kokushibo's memories stored in Yoriichi's soul. He develops new breathing styles by combining existing ones. Breath of the eclipse that merges sun and moon. Breath of the storm that fuses thunder and wind. Techniques so powerful they could reshape landscapes. Years 951 to 1000, the price of power. In the final decades, the true cost becomes clear. Yoriichi's soul, which has powered this realm for centuries, is finally fading. The legendary warrior who defeated countless demons, who made Muzan flee in terror, is dying a second death. But he doesn't fade quietly. In his final moments, Yoriichi makes the ultimate sacrifice. He fragments his soul and merges pieces of it directly into Tanjiro's being. Not just memories or techniques, but the very essence of what made Yoriichi the perfect warrior. Tanjiro gains not just power, but the accumulated wisdom of centuries, the tactical genius that made Yoriichi unbeatable, the perfect combat instincts honed by a lifetime of battle. He also inherits Yoriichi's greatest regret, his failure to save his brother and stop Muzan. I could not save those I loved, Yoriichi whispers as his form begins to fade. You still can. You have surpassed me in every way that matters. The training realm begins to collapse as its creator disappears. Tanjiro, no longer quite human, no longer quite mortal, opens his eyes as reality reasserts itself. Tanjiro opens his eyes in the snow. Exactly 0 time has passed. Gyu's blade is still mid-swing towards Nezuko's neck, moving at what now seems like a snail's pace to Tanjiro's enhanced perception, but the blade never reaches its target. Moving faster than light itself, Tanjiro appears between them. He doesn't strike Gyu or hurt him. That would be overkill. Instead, he simply places one finger against the Hashira's chest and redirects his momentum, sending him gently but irresistibly flying backwards into a snowbank. To Gyu, it's like the world just glitched. One moment he was executing a demon, the next he was sitting in snow 30 feet away with no memory of how he got there. His enhanced senses, trained through years of battle, detected absolutely nothing. No movement, no killing intent, no technique, just impossible displacement. The powerless boy who couldn't save anyone is gone. In his place stands something that transcends human understanding, a being who has spent 1,000 years becoming the perfect protector. Tanjiro looks at his sleeping sister with eyes that hold a millennium of love and determination. His enhanced senses can smell every molecule of Muzan's cursed blood in her system, can see the demonic cells trying to overwrite her humanity, can feel the foreign influence trying to control her mind. With surgical precision that makes doctors look clumsy, he places 2 fingers on specific pressure points on Nezuko's neck. The 14th form, Merciful Dawn, flows through his touch, not as a technique, but as pure intent made manifest. The demon blood in her system doesn't fight or resist. It simply ceases to exist, purified by sunlight made tangible. Nezuko's breathing deepens, her temperature returns to normal, and the fangs retract. She's still unconscious, but she's human again. The impossible has been accomplished in seconds. Gyu struggles to his feet, his mind reeling. "Who? What are you?" he stammers, his hand instinctively reaching for his blade before realizing how pointless the gesture is. Tanjiro turns to face him, and Gyu sees something that makes his soul tremble. Those aren't human eyes. They're the eyes of someone who has seen the birth and death of stars, who has spent lifetimes perfecting the art of protection. There's no malice in them, No anger, just absolute, terrifying competence. "My name is Tanjiro Kamado," he says, his voice carrying the weight of centuries, "and I'm going to kill Muzan Kibutsuji." Word spreads through the Demon Slayer Corps like wildfire. There's someone new, someone unprecedented, someone who makes Hashira look like Academy students. The reports sound impossible. Demons fleeing in terror, upper moons being defeated without the attacker even drawing a blade, the very air becoming purified wherever this person walks. Kagaya Ubeyashiki, the Corps leader, requests an immediate meeting. When Tanjiro arrives at the headquarters, something extraordinary happens. Kagaya's curse, the one that has been slowly killing his bloodline for generations, begins to weaken just from proximity to Tanjiro's purified spiritual energy. "A child of prophecy," Kagaya whispers, his failing eyesight somehow able to perceive the golden aura surrounding Tanjiro, "the one who will end our 1,000-year war." The Hashira meeting that follows is legendary. 9 of the strongest demon slayers alive, warriors who have dedicated their lives to perfecting their crafts, face someone who has transcended such limitations entirely. Sanemi Shinazugawa, the Wind Hashira, decides to test the newcomer's resolve by attacking Nezuko. He draws his blade, prepares his most powerful technique, and charges forward with killing intent. He never completes the movement. Tanjiro doesn't move from his seated position. He doesn't draw a weapon. Doesn't move from his seated position. He doesn't draw a weapon. He doesn't even look in Sanemi's direction. He simply releases a fraction of his spiritual pressure, the accumulated power of 1,000 years of training compressed into a single moment. Sanemi stops mid-charge, his body refusing to obey his commands. Every instinct he has, every survival mechanism honed by years of battle, screams the same message: move and you die. Breathe wrong and you die. Exist in his presence without permission, you die. The other Hashira feel it too. Gyu's stoic mask cracks as sweat beads on his forehead. Rengoku's eternal flame of enthusiasm flickers. Tengen's flashy confidence evaporates. They're facing something that exists on a completely different level of existence. "Please, don't threaten my sister," Tanjiro says quietly, and simple request carries more authority than any shouted command. "I've spent a very long time learning to protect her." Instead of immediately hunting down Muzan, Tanjiro implements a strategy that's both brilliant and ruthless. He seeks out Tamayo, the demon doctor who has been researching a cure for centuries. When he appears in her hidden clinic, Tamayo nearly collapses from the sheer pressure of the presence. But she quickly realizes this isn't a threat. "I know what you've been trying to accomplish," Tanjiro tells her, his eyes seeing through her desperate centuries of research. "Let me help." What follows is the greatest scientific breakthrough in history compressed into a single afternoon. Tanjiro shares not just Yoriichi's memories of Muzan's biology, but insights gained from 1,000 years of studying demonic corruption at the cellular level. Together they create a weapon, a compound that doesn't simply kill demons, but strips away their immortality and demonic power, leaving them as vulnerable humans facing the weight of their crimes. Killing Muzan would be merciful, Tanjiro explains as they work. He needs to understand what it feels like to be powerless, to be afraid, to face death as the mortal he once was. Tanjiro begins systematically hunting down every demon in Japan, but not to kill them. He offers each one a choice: accept purification and return to humanity, or face complete annihilation. Most choose redemption when faced with his impossible power. The upper moons, demons who have terrorized humanity for centuries, fall one by one in encounters that barely qualify as fights. Upper Moon 6, Daki and Gyotaro are the first to face it. The battle, if it can be called that, lasts exactly 3 seconds. Tanjiro appears in their entertainment district, looks at them with those ancient eyes, and speaks a single word: choose. Daki, in her arrogance, attacks with her blood demon art. Her razor-sharp obi ribbons, capable of slicing buildings in half, simply pass through Tanjiro as if he exists in a different dimension. His counterattack isn't even a technique. He just touches her forehead with one finger, and the demonic corruption that has sustained her for over a century simply ceases to exist. She collapses as a confused, frightened human girl, her memories of 100 years of murder flooding back all at once. Gyotaro, seeing his sister's fate, chooses surrender. Upper Moon 4, Hantengu, tries to hide under his emotion-based clones. Tanjiro finds all of them simultaneously existing in multiple places at once through sheer speed. The demon who has survived through cowardice for centuries faces someone who makes hiding impossible. Upper Moon 3 Akaza provides the closest thing to an actual fight. The martial arts demon who has spent centuries perfecting his combat skills faces off against someone who has spent a millennium doing the same. For exactly 30 seconds, Akaza thinks he might have a chance. His compass needle tracks Tanjiro's movements. His destructive death technique launches with perfect precision, and his battle spirit burns brighter than ever before. Then Tanjiro stops holding back. The resulting demonstration isn't a battle, it's a lesson in the difference between perfection and transcendence. Every one of Akaza's techniques is not just countered, but improved upon and reflected back. His compass needle spins wildly, unable to track someone who exists partially outside of physical reality. When it ends, Akaza is on his knees, his regeneration unable to keep up with the damage that affects his very existence. For the first time since becoming a demon, he feels something he thought he'd lost forever: respect for a superior opponent. "You're strong," he whispers as Tanjiro's 14th form purifies his demonic blood. "Stronger than anyone I've ever faced. Thank you for reminding me what it meant to be human." Upper Moon 2 Doma tries to flee the moment he senses Tanjiro's presence. The demon who has never felt genuine emotion suddenly experiences pure primal terror. His ice-based blood demon arts, his cult of followers, his centuries of manipulation, none of it matters when faced with someone who can end his existence with a thought. Upper Moon 1 Kokushibo provides the most complex encounter. This is Yoriichi's brother, transformed into a demon, but retaining memories of the original sun-breathing techniques. When he faces Tanjiro, he sees not just his brother's successor, but fragments of Yoriichi's soul integrated into this perfect warrior. "Brother," Kokushibo whispers, his 6 eyes seeing the impossible truth. "You live on in him." The fight between them spans hours, not because Tanjiro needs the time, but because he wants to honor the memory of Yoriichi's relationship with his corrupted brother. Every technique Kokushibo learned as a human, every moon-breathing form he developed as a demon, Tanjiro matches them all while showing him what he could have become if he hadn't chosen the path of jealousy. In the end, Kokushibo doesn't die as a demon. He dies as Mishikatsu Sugikuni, Yoriichi's brother, finally free from centuries of jealousy and corruption. When Muzan realizes that all his upper moons have fallen, that his 1,000-year empire is crumbling, he doesn't rage or plot. For the first time in his existence, the Demon King feels something he thought he'd forgotten: fear. He tries to hide, using every technique and ability at his disposal. He fragments himself into thousands of pieces and scatters across Japan. He possesses innocent humans and uses them as shields. He even attempts to flee the country entirely. None of it works. Tanjiro hunts him down with methodical precision, purifying each fragment as he finds it, forcing Muzan to reconstitute or face permanent destruction. Tanjiro is systematically removing every option, every escape route, every desperate Tanjiro is systematically removing every option, every escape route, every desperate gambit until only one choice remains: face him directly. The final confrontation takes place at dawn, in the same forest where Tanjiro's family was murdered. The symbolism isn't lost on either of them. Muzan appears in his perfect form, having absorbed every ounce of power he can gather. He's magnificent and terrible, a being of impossible strength and speed, the apex predator that has terrorized humanity for over a millennium. "You think you can defeat me?" Muzan snarls, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 years of unchallenged dominance. "I am immortal. I am perfection. I am..." "Afraid," Tanjiro interrupts quietly. "You're afraid because you can smell it on me, can't you? The scent of the sun. The power that you've spent centuries running from." For what feels like hours to Muzan, he unleashes everything he has. Every blood demon art, every technique refined over centuries, every desperate transformation in his arsenal. The forest is obliterated. Mountains are moved. The very landscape is reshaped by the fury of his attacks. Tanjiro weaves through it all like morning mist, untouchable and inevitable. He's not just dodging, he's dancing, performing the ultimate expression of sun breathing as a form of art rather than combat. Muzan finally exhausts himself. When every desperate attack has been evaded with casual grace, Tanjiro appears directly in front of him. In his hand is a Nishirin blade with a hollow tip, filled with the compound that will strip away everything Muzan has become. "This is for my family," Tanjiro says simply, and drives the blade through all 7 of Muzan's hearts and 5 brains simultaneously. The scream that follows can be heard across 3 provinces. Muzan doesn't just lose his power, he loses his immortality, his regeneration, and his demonic strength. 1,000 years of accumulated might simply evaporates, leaving behind a frail, terrified human who suddenly remembers what it feels like to die. "No," Muzan whispers, his voice cracking with the weight of mortality. I can't be." "Human," Tanjiro finishes. "You're human again, and now you get to face justice for everything you've done as the mortal you always were." Muzan doesn't die in battle. He's dragged away by the authorities. A broken old man who will spend his remaining days in a cell, haunted by the memories of his victims and the knowledge that death is coming for him, just like everyone else. With Muzan's defeat, the Age of Demons ends not with an apocalyptic battle, but with the rising sun. Across Japan, every remaining demon feels the curse that bound them to their king. Simply stop. They have a choice now. Remain as monsters or accept the cure that Tanjiro offers freely to any who want redemption. Most choose to become human again. Nezuko is among the first to be fully cured, not just of the demon blood, but of any trace of corruption that might have lingered. When she opens her eyes and sees her brother for the first time, in what feels like forever, her smile is worth every century of training he endured. The Demon Slayer Corps, after generations of sacrifice and loss, can finally rest. Swords are put away, breathing techniques become meditation practices, and warriors become protectors of peace rather than weapons of war. Children play outside after dark without fear. Travelers walk mountain paths without carrying blessed weapons. Families sleep peacefully knowing that the nightmares that once stalked the night have been purified by the light of the dawn. And Tanjiro Kamado, the charcoal seller who became the sun god, stands as the guardian of this new world. Once